What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be walking through how to do a front disc and caliper and rotor and things and the stuff and the how to stop a sandbar and the rear drums, which absolutely suck. So yeah, we're going to be doing a whole brake job on the sandbar with a brake fluid flush, and here we go. All right, so we're going to take off the 4 nuts that are holding on my spacer. That's going to be a 17 mil. If you have a spacer, yours will vary. Then we will remove the caliper, which is going to be a 19 mil. There's 2 of them on the back. We will use some zip ties to just hang this up off of the spring to keep it out of the way and keep the pressure off of the brake lines. And then we will put into M8 by 1.25 bolts, ugga-dugga this until it breaks free, all that. To go back to the 30 with the 1 1/2 to the 3/8 because it works. You have a washer. So now knowing what was wrong with the parking brake, it's a little rusty, a little crusty, and I'm looking forward to having good brakes now. We're going to be putting in a genuine Seiken, however that's pronounced, brake disc rotor. It came from Japan. Brake disc rotor part number 510760006 or the Subaru 26311 Tom Adam 001. I am going to be using a little bit of CRC synthetic brake and caliper grease. That's dried. We'll press that up. All right, next up, we're gonna be taking off the caliper so we can clean it and rebuild it. This is gonna be a 14 on the backside. Juice starts falling. Get the banjo bolt out. That is some gross looking brake juice. All right, so we're on the workbench now. This is the passenger front brake caliper. I have scrubbed it a little bit. It was some brake cleaner. Got a box here because we are still going to be leaking some brake fluid. But what we're going to be doing is pulling out all these seals. I have the Pitwork seal replacement kit. Dump that stuff out over here. Comes with some grease. We've got, looks to be main. We've got the inners. We've got another main. I'm wondering if this is going to give me, looks like this is going to give me, one set is going to do both fronts, which it is, because there's two of those. So that's awesome. I bought two of these. All right, looks like we got a outer seal there. For reference, this is part number AY600 KE009. Wow, the condition of these things is awesome. All right, so here is the outer seal, which is this good guy right here. So we're gonna orient this up because that's the way we want it to go. Underneath that is the hard inner ring, which does open up. Keep that down there. We've got our piston. What I find works well for this is to use some compressed air. All right, and just like that, it will force the piston cup out. As you can see, that did take quite a bit of pressure to get it out. You do want to protect it because it does come out at quite some force. So that's why I threw a beanie or toboggan, depending on where you live, in between to catch this. So we'll wipe this out. We'll hit this with some brake clean, maybe really fine sand before we throw it back in. All right, so inside the cup, you can see that we do have a ring, which is right in here. So we're going to use a tool behind it, pull that right out. That will be no good. That is what these are. And wipe this out real quick, just so we're not leaking brake juice everywhere. All right, now these are what allow your caliper to slide back and forth. So let's peel this off. There's one of these, which will be that replacement right there. Or actually, it might be this one. Either way, drop that sucker in there. And we got the other side, same thing. And like I said, we can simply pull the pin out. There it is. All right, same. Pull that off, and get that out. All right, but the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this inside, hit it with some hot water, scrub it down, get it clean, and we'll be right back. So also inside 4 tiny O-rings. So we're going to pull those out, and one flying, and hit them from the other side. All right, now it's time to rebuild. We're going to pull that off though, the bleeder. So we'll pull the bleeder off. 8 mil, get everything with some brake cleaner, and then start reassembly. All right, so we're going to start off with getting the tiny O-rings back in. To do that, use just a tiny little bit of Subaru brake fluid, trying to keep that off of the painted surfaces. Relatively easy to get these in. Just take your time so that they're not turning in there, but usually you can press in, hold it in the end, hold it in the groove, and then just walk the O-ring right down the side and into the spot. Flip this around, number 3, and last, number 4. All right, so all of those are in. The next thing we can do is go ahead and hit our pins with some brake and caliper grease. Doesn't take much, but just make sure you got a little bit all around, because when you go to press this in, most of it's going to get pressed out. Extra, the other side, nice and gooey. All right, let's do one more. All right, so I will clean up these surfaces, and we'll push through and clean these. All right, next up we got our little these. The heck are these called? I don't remember what they're called. But if you'll notice, there's a narrow groove and a thick groove. And so as you look at these, that has a thick groove, that has a thin. So they're gonna go on like that. So we'll take this one, press it around this bearing so that it seats. Press it in and get that out of my hand. The other way we can do this, start it first. All right, get it on there, come on, you get. And then push through and push back. And now that one's sealed. So we'll take this side, push that on and see if we can do it this way. And if you're really careful, you can use a tool. I don't like to, but sometimes it makes life easier. Actually, let me use, this one is not as sharp. I'm just riding the lip of the seal to get it to seat and then pulling it off like an idiot and doing it again because it's so much fun. Press that through, there we go. You wanna make sure that your seal in here is seated flat all the way around, otherwise it's just gonna pop out. And this one right here is twisted just a little bit because I can see a little lip, and now it's flat. So this one's done. So let's do it again because that was so much fun. Another trick you can do is you can lube the inside with a little brake fluid, something I did not do on the first one. And we'll see how that affects putting it on this time. Press this up, get that seated. Still not liking right in here. Now I am. All right, and then one more again, this side. Get the inner and outer surfaces of the rubber through. Personally, I feel like the thick side is easier. That's what she said. Come on, you. All right, the magic of TV will get this on. All right, we're just gonna call that performance anxiety. This is now in. These are moving nicely. So next thing up, we're gonna use the inside seal and get that inside this channel right there. This is another thing that we do want to pre-lube because this will be in there. We want to make sure that it is in there correctly, and it will have the cup riding against it, so we want to make sure that it's smooth. All right, run your finger around it, make sure it's nice and flat, which it is. All right, next thing up. All right, so I'm at the stage now where I'm working on the rear drums, and I've run into a problem. First problem is my drum shoes did not come with speed nuts or lock washers or whatever you want to call these. And because of that, I have no way to attach this. So my best friend, who is also in the process of doing this, brought me his. And so we've ordered probably 9,000 of these things. Because we're going to press this on, which will seat everything together. I'm just going to do it real loose for right now. And that will allow this side, which articulates from the parking brake, to operate. The other problem, this is the crusty one from the driver's side. So it will be exactly the same, but this piece will be flipped and the springs will be on the back side. We don't have all of the same drill holes. Everything else is the same between these, but we don't have all of the same little spring holes. So we're gonna have to make that work. We're gonna bust out the drill. There you go. Always drill into something like that so that you can send everything flying and know that you're through. All right. So let's wipe all this off, keep it nice and clean, pick up some of these big pieces of metal. Because I now have a surface in here, I do want to get a little bit of paint on there, just probably completely unnecessary, but I would really like to just not have to deal with rust on this if at all possible. Clean that out a little bit. So to do this, I'm just gonna try, that should be good enough for government work. Looks good to me. So we'll give that a few seconds to dry. All right, so that's sat there long enough that I'm tired of watching it sit here. Dab up some of this extra. Now, I have to rebuild this, but instead of this piece being up, we're actually gonna be like this. So that's the only difference here is we're kind of in reverse. So this piece on this one sits like this. So on this one, it's gonna be like that. So this will go around that. And then on the actual shoe, this will go through the hole we just did, be in there, and that will go up. Now, this spring on here sits like that. So it's gonna come in from the back side. It'll press in against that right there. We're gonna see if we can do it through that hole. That right there should be good enough for government work. So let's see if we can put this brake shoe back together. Make the adjuster as tight as I can for right now. Actually, before I do this, I'll drop that. I want to see if I can maybe do it through that hole instead. The answer to that question is A. No, because I don't like that. So we're going to go through this hole because that actually puts spring pressure on it. This is one of those jobs where an extra set of hands would be great as long as they're your own hands and not somebody else's. Because I don't know how in the world I would explain this to anybody else. Just keep dropping stuff. So do you have a cool tip and trick for how to do this? If so, drop it in the comments because this is annoying. All right, let's take this off because we know that's good now. So this is gonna be, there is about 14.8. So if we were to hold this up, go to the back side to measure, we wanna be at 14.8, which actually looks like we should drill a hole right about there. So it actually looks like we should drill a hole right about there to make the spring work the right way. So why not? Y'all thought I was gonna give you a show again, didn't you? I'm getting so tired of wasting paper towels. All right, so now let's rebuild again. Just gonna hit that with the smallest little bit just to hopefully keep things from having issues in the future. Damn it, why does anybody watch your shit? All right, so that's gonna go in there. This is gonna go around, and this is gonna come up. And then this is gonna go through our new hole. That's gonna sit much more gooder. Put that in, bring that up, and rest. Put that nastiness over to the side. Get this out, it works really well. Let's find a socket that is just a little bit bigger than the post, which for me, I believe a 7 is gonna do. We will put something under, that'll work. Get the old Asian persuasion out. And there we go. Some little crusties off of there. And of course, we're gonna wanna hit all of this stuff with brake clean before we go and put it back on the truck. So that'll be on that side. All right, we have our crusty little pins that hold everything in. We have our springs. We're gonna hit those with a little razzle dazzle. We'll take all this back over to the truck. All right, so we're back at the truck and we're going to try to reassemble this. We have our pins, which are going to come through these holes towards us. That is what actually holds the whole thing in place. They're going to come through, I believe they will come through these big holes, and then we will reassemble this joker one more time and then put our springs in. All right, so what I think I wanna do is I'm gonna put this pin through the hole. I'm gonna put this pin through the hole as well, just for the sake of it. I'm going to rebuild this stupid thing yet again. I've never had an appreciation for rust before, but the rust holds everything in place. So I can appreciate the rust on some of this, not gonna lie. All right, I'm going to attempt to do that. That's now in there. This is right here. I'm going to take this, it over, get it up there. Maybe not. Actually going to bring this out quite a bit. And if there's an easier way to do this, I would love to know, but please don't laugh at me. This is such a pain. I don't ever want to do these drums ever again. These have been the bane of my existence. All right, so that doesn't seem tight at all. That just fell off. Cue the music. Stay. Still gotta get that damn thing on here too. Oh, where'd I put it? Oh no. Technologia. Maybe technologia. Get in the hole, you bastard. First time. Super easy. All right, so now that there, put that on there, and hope that doesn't fall. Cool. It's, please don't. Oh, you're gonna be a bitch. Damn it. Take that off. Take this off again. Oh my God, I never want to do this shit again. Well, we know where the pieces go at least. You fall off too. I feel like me doing drums is one of those things where it's like, answer this question with wrong answers. Because that's kind of how I'm feeling this is going. Wrong answers only. All right. Wow. Off camera, I did go back and drill another hole on both sides because these particular shoes did not come with the holes that are necessary for this style lower spring. What I'm gonna do is start with the parking brake attachment, feed that on, bring this around, bring this through, that on nice and easily. All right, that just stay there for a second. And for this side, I am going to go ahead and hook the top spring in. I'm going to hook in the top spring and we're gonna try it this way. We'll wrap that around, bring this over, bring that through. This is probably gonna make it a little bit difficult when I go to put the springs in for all of this nonsense, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, now let's see. Lower spring in on both sides. Wow, that is tighter than I was expecting. All right. Well, now the fun part. There we go. Actually, try using the needle nose. That's part of it. This is the one part that's giving me nothing but problems. Lord have mercy. I should probably have on safety glasses. I know you probably don't have a really good view of what's going on here, but just know that it's horrible. Absolutely miserably horrible. Please don't kill me. Never skip drum shoe day at the gym. That's fine. I don't even care. At this point, I'm not even sure if it's necessary. I think all this shit is just here to aggravate. Why do people become mechanics? I don't, at this point, I don't know. And if you are a mechanic and you're sitting there laughing at this, I hope you step on a damn Lego. Yahtzee. Now, don't you even freaking think about injecting this into my face. Now I gotta do that. How the hell am I supposed? All right, we gotta put our tactical Crocs in better position. On 3, 1, mother, 2. As you can see, drum brakes are totally easy and you too can do it at home. Fuck this. All right, at this point of the process, it's important to clean off all of the surfaces you just sweat and questioned your life decisions on. A good quality brake cleaner. I prefer CRC brake clean. There's other options out there. To me, this just smells the best, but it is safe to get on all of the surfaces. Dries with residue free and just gets all of the nastiness off of everything. You can already see it drying up here. All of this will dry nicely. Next thing I'm gonna do off camera is just get the inside of the drum clean and these little washers and what I'm gonna call a castle nut clean and get all of the gross powder out of here. All right, so we've reached probably the most fun part of this, which is bleeding the brakes. Now, the way I'm gonna be doing this today is with the little infamous TikTok shop one-way valve that has been floating around, because I just wanna try this and see how this works. The other option is a second person, or I do have some speed bleeders as well. But what we're gonna do is we've got a regular little drink bottle. We're going to put some brake fluid in. DOT3 genuine Subaru brake fluid. Be very careful with this stuff that you do not get it in your eyes. You don't want to get it on your skin. Do bad stuff to your eyes if you get it in your eyes. But we just want enough in there that when we put the end in, bottom of the hose is below so no air can come back in. Now I did also put a small little hole up at the top next to the main hole just to allow air to escape. And now that that's here, I'm gonna go up to the front, pour in some brake fluid, start pumping the pedal. Now, you will wanna use an 8 mil for this brake bleeder back here. So we will go ahead and crack that joker loose. All right. Pro tip, if you're doing this by yourself, come back here, put a little line. That way, if you don't see fluid coming through the hose, at least you'll see it go above that line. All right, so you'll see that I'm right in line with this. What we can do is press down on the gas pedal, and if you want to know if it's working, when you lift up, you'll see the volume left in the tank up here dropping. So it looks like we've got fluid coming through, but we still have some air up here. I want to try to get that to a solid stream of brake fluid.